Alright, now here is the cotton candy machine. And first of all, you have the machine, you have this netting here so that the sugar doesn't just fly out all over the place. Make sure that we have a cord. Obviously, we want this plugged in for it to work. And with that, now that this is on, if you notice, there's a heat button and there's a power button. If you turn the heat button on, it doesn't do anything until this power button is on. If you hit this power button, it is immediately going to spin. So you don't have an option of heating it without spinning. So watch, you turn this on. That button goes on. Thing starts spinning. I'm going to shut this off for now just so that sugar doesn't start flying while I have the video camera here. And it's also pretty noisy. This thing does vibrate quite a bit, which is why I attached it to this stool. So it may be louder than ones that you've heard in the past, but that's okay. So you're going to turn this on. The thing is immediately going to start spinning. And then you're immediately going to hit the heat button on. So while it's spinning, it starts heating up. When that happens, you're going to just kind of put your hand around this area. Do not. This is dangerous. Right here, this thing can cut a finger off. So for no reason should you put your hands here. This thing is going to spin. So keep your hands away from it. So what you want to do is you just kind of want to get your hand close enough above it just to check, okay, all right, it's warming up. I'm feeling the heat now. Once you feel the heat, then it's ready to start pouring. So with this cotton candy machine, what we should have is we should definitely have one person who does the pouring into here, and we should have one person separating these cones and collecting it, because it's really hard to have a cone and also to pour at the same time. So we should have two people at this station. Ironically, one of the most difficult parts of the cotton candy machine is actually separating these cones. So we're going to put this down on the table. These cones have the tendency of tightening up. I just loosened the ones on the bottom. But if you just try to pull one here, they're so crammed in, it's hard to separate them. See, a few of them came together. So what I found helpful is, well, now these are going to come out. Take it from the bottom and twist it. I don't know if this is one or two, maybe two. These are really crammed. So I would try to do this before you even start the cotton candies. If you separate these in advance, it would just be easier. So you just separate them and then you just loosely stack them back. Okay. So I would advise probably even doing it the day before. Wouldn't hurt. It's just hard doing all this while the kids are around and you've got to be making the cotton candy. Oh, there we go, here's a good one. Oh. Nice. So we have a few of them here set. Okay, so you have these ready to go. Again, so one person would be separating these cones and doing the stirring in here. The other person is going to take this and pour it right into the middle here. So I'll take the camera again and show you. So this is where you want to pour it. You want to pour it right in there. Okay, so you don't have to put the thing so close. You could do it from up above. It's just hard when I'm holding this camera to show that. One thing to know about this sizes the cotton candy appropriately. This right here is the amount of sugar of a full cotton candy. If someone's like, oh, I don't want a whole cotton candy thing, then you could just give them a half. See, so if they want just a little bit, then you just give them a little bit. If they want a full one, do that. So there's just one of these per cotton candy, which is good because once the cotton candy stops finishing, then you know that you're set and it gives you time to then reach for your next cone so it's not constantly shooting out the whole time. So you have one person just doing this, pour it in, do this, pour it in, and you have the other person just taking the cones, separating it, and twirling it. I'm going to explain how to do this before actually doing it again so that I could put the camera down and not getting cotton candy on it. One thing that's important, the sugar pretty much shoots straight out in a straight line. So when I first did this, I started about here, and I didn't really have much to go. If I went up with it, there was kind of nothing for it to hit. So I ended up having these flat UFO shaped cotton candies. What you want to do is you really want to start it on the bottom. You want to start this way down here. So when the cotton candy starts collecting, it collects right about here. Then you just twist it around, keep it low, and as it starts gathering, then you slowly start raising it higher and higher and higher. So again, you're just going to start it down low, then you're going to twist it, and then you're going to start raising it as you can until the cotton candy is done. You don't want to go the twist back and forth. That's not really good. You really want to take it in your hand and continue spinning it and spinning and spinning it, which is also why it's important for one person to do this job, because you can't do this and hold this at the same time. You need to be able to take two hands and just spin it around and around and around. Pass it to the person, take the next one, let the person pour it, and on to the next. So, I'm going to place this down, and we'll watch this start up and how it works. Okay, so power on. Heat's not on yet. Gonna turn the heat on. It has some sugar in it, so it's already starting to throw a few things out. That's okay, it's just clearing it. this up. We want to just be able to clear out the sugar that's inside. That's why I'm letting it keep going. The heat's on, it's spinning. And then once it's done, I think this is pretty good now. I'm going to shut off the heat and shut it off. So again, before you shut it off, you want to be able to let it keep spinning. And look at that. So you could, well, you might not be able to see in the camera, but you could see heat coming out. This thing really gets hot. Yeah, that's hot right there. But you don't want to just finish your last cotton candy and then hit the power button, because there's still some sugar inside. So you give it another 2 to 3 minutes just to be able to help clear it out. And then once it's cleared out, then this can be washed. So this thing can be taken off, put in the sink, washed out, wash this part here. But you do have to watch out. I ended up cutting myself right here on these edges. So these are very sharp right here. So watch yourself when you clean that out. And as I mentioned, if you notice, there's a few times like that cotton candy came into here. You always have to watch your hands. Do not get close to this, because right now this is very hot, and when it's spinning, it could be very dangerous. So what I found on the second one was the first one, I guess I ended up doing it a little loose, so the top part ended up coming up off. So on the second one, instead, I kind of pushed it against the walls a little bit. I've never used the blue, so I guess the blue is a little bit more fluffy than the other kind. But anyways, if that happens, just kind of push it against the walls, let that kind of push it together. You really want to not have your hands in here, just because of the hot and spinning parts. And I believe that was pretty much in it. So there you go. Now you know how to create cotton candy.